he wanted to do. Bond information, that was just a matter of financial, identifying that in your financial state on your annual report to the state of California. Every year there's a bill about indemnification of design professionals. Every year they introduce something where they're not held responsible for bad designs. It's seriously, it's crazy, and they've had some successes, but for the most part, CSGA's been really good at getting that defeated. The SB 96, the registration requirements, that was a very important bill because it dealt with the way that we handle public works projects. Really, really complicated process. When we do a project that's over $1,000, we have to submit a form to the state. It goes into their database. We also have to make sure that the contractor has registered with the state and is a registered public works contractor, and they're supposed to submit certified payroll to the state, all these requirements. And they upped the minimum amount to $25,000, which was a huge deal, so that you don't have to deal with it on every single one. You still have to pay prevailing wage for anything over $1,000, but I went through a webinar on that to go through all the changes. If there's anything on this list that you're interested in, let me know, and I'll see if I can answer any questions on it. But seriously, the majority of the bad bills got defeated. That when you get into the CSCA report on page 5, that's where it talks about the successes. If you go to page 6, one I'm personally familiar with was AB 1479. It was the result of an officer-involved shooting in a city, and they didn't adequately respond to the public records request, and the court had to tell them what to do. And so this author decided that they were going to introduce a bill that made every public agency declare a person responsible for your public records request, and if they weren't responded to, they would be held liable personally and have to pay civil penalties and all this kind of stuff. It was, it would make the cost of our staffing go up if someone had to take on that kind of personal responsibility. Anyway, so it went through the system, it got amended, all the bad stuff got amended out of it, and then the governor vetoed it anyway. So, but it just takes time to look at this stuff and think about it. But the majority of the other things that we've got to deal with are on today's agenda as far as action items.
Okay. Do you have anything for Randy? Do you have a report for Randy?
We're treading water. We've got Randy is it right now, and we're trying to keep him healthy and moving forward. And we're keeping up. But luckily we haven't had a heck of a lot. Cindy, is there anything going on that is coming up that we're not able to get to from the customer service side or anything?
He's juggling them. He's, he has his meter requests and different things like that.
All right. Any comments? Emery? Russ? Dan?
Yeah, prior to doing the leak detection services, I know you wanted to get a contractor out there to clean the valves and such. We thought that that'd be it. What was the status on that? Didn't see anything happen, so I'm assuming we didn't find anybody.
Couldn't get any reasonable bids.
Okay.
Got really high costs, and it was just the unknowns that were part of it.
This was the exercise of the valves?
Yeah.
Clean up.
Primarily to suck out all of the
Debris and
Okay, so you can get to the valve?
yeah, so that they can get their listening equipment down on the valve if they need to isolate closer. But in reality, we were just, the primary, that was a generic list of things to do. It would have been good to do it, but I wasn't gonna pay, you know,
I think that's.
twenties of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to have that done by a third party.
All right, let's go on down to the approval of the consent calendar, which if my records are correct, it's pages 17 through 16. Any
Dang it.
So you'll see, I don't know.
Yeah, it's much lower than that.
No, it's here, yeah, the accounts receivable at 109,204. I am wrong. I can't even see this for some reason, I need my glasses. Is that an extra set?
Yep,
Ah.
they don't work for me anymore.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote, okay. Moving on. Discussion and potential regarding a request for proposal to secure an independent contractor to provide operations staffing. Pete? And if my numbers are correct, that's pages 17 through 24.
I think your numbers are correct.
Okay.
Have been curious about this for a while, and this is something that came up at a prior board meeting, and because it was in a report format, we started to have an interesting conversation about it and wanted to get it on the agenda. Understand I'm not necessarily advocating and saying this is absolutely the way that we gotta go, let's go get it and make it happen. Because there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of things that I don't have any experience with contracting out the entire operations. I've got a number of managers that I know that do, and it's really common in areas where there are a lot of contractors running around doing that type of work, operating the water system and wastewater as well. As you know, when we were trying to fill some staff spots and we had very critical situations where we didn't have the right certified operators, I tried to get some of these contractors to come and give us temporary staffing. And they thought it was a good idea, but they were pretty busy doing their contract jobs where they had bid out and committed their people to being on call and being there, and they run somewhat lean, so they didn't have people just on standby like a substitute teacher to plug in, you know, it wasn't occurring. But they said, you know, if this was a project, we would certainly bid on it. Okay, a project meaning if a certain number of staff for a certain period of time, because then they can staff up and do that. So it's just an interesting concept, and I've included just a little bit of information. Their request for proposals, Grizzly Flat Community Services District, was very lengthy. I can get you the entire RFP if you're interested, but I included the non-boilerplate stuff, which was their scope of work that they had developed with their engineering firm and their operators. Basically what happened to them is they had all their people gone and they couldn't recruit anybody. And they could get people, but then they wouldn't stick around very long and they move on to another entity, and they were becoming, having a hard time even keeping the doors open. So they brought in an operator on an emergency basis, and then this is the first time that they actually put it out for bid or for proposal. And so they had a pretty detailed scope of work that I've included, and then on page 24 is one of the 3 bid sheets. They got 3 bids. This was the low bidder, just to give you an idea of what they're charging, okay? I can't guarantee you for what we're asking, if we were to ask, that it would be the same cost. I don't know what forces they were dealing with as far as labor and all that, and whether we'd be more expensive or less. But you can see the number of hours that they had asked to bid, and then the hourly rate, and then the total amount. And it was started out $162,576 and then increased each year over the 3-year period that they were making a commitment to the contractor, okay? So, for example, line item number 2 on page 24, interesting, if we're just talking about dollars of it, $96,000 for a full-time operator certified grade 1, T1, D1, okay? If in our situation, we would need at least 1 operator, you know, and we would need somebody in responsible charge that was at a T2, D2 level. Okay, so what they did, basically, you can see 60 hours a year by their chief operator to look over the reports and be there to answer questions and all that. So that's why that number is on line item number 1. Then they had some boots on the ground in number 2, and then number 3 was a part-timer and the on-call support and all that. So when you look at that cost, and you take a look at our budget in total, if the cost per employee is any indicator, we're at about 95. I'm sorry, we are, this is 96, we're at 88,
Okay.
sorry. So
That was what I was
so
And what does the 88 include?
it includes all the operations employee-related expenses, including training and benefits and pay. It doesn't include equipment or anything else. And because this is, you know, they're operating district equipment, district trucks and all that kind of stuff. So
the difference is $8,000.
mhm.
So they're at 96 and we're at 88?
Yeah.
And so basically, there's 1 full-time guy and 1 guy 2 days a week.
Yeah, smaller system, their numbers are a little bit less, and they don't have as complex of a system. Then they're not doing, they're doing general system maintenance, so they're, you know, maintaining the vehicles, they're maintaining the distribution system, you know, flushing and testing and that kind of stuff. But they don't have the complexity as far as pressure regulating valves and pump stations.
They got, I saw up in the beginning, they had about 600 meters.
Mhm.
And so basically, we've got a little over double that, and then we've got double that again for service lines and lots and rest of the stuff, right? So our system was considered, way more, actually. It's way more hardware in ours than theirs.
Yeah, I would think, you know, if we were to develop a scope of work, that scope of work would have to describe all of the things that are in our maintenance plan, you know, and the maintenance plan would be attached then, and the vehicle maintenance plan as well. And then enough people to do that, plus to operate the plant and the system. My guess is it'd be probably around 3 full-time. But what I find really interesting in the way that they did it was to take the higher certified person and just on call, you know, by phone, reviewing reports, submitting reports and that kind of stuff. And that they have a D1, T1 doing the operating work. Because we can operate on a D1, T1, we just have to have
Somebody of record with a
Yeah.
higher certificate. So are they in state compliance the way they're doing this?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The other bid was a little bit higher, probably about 10%, I think, next bid up. There are probably a half a dozen contractors that I know of. The majority are in the more metropolitan areas. There's a couple down in the Fresno area. There's there's a few down in the Central Coast. For some reason, almost all of their systems are operated by contractors.
So, how much of your work would be required for you to come up with what you think we really need and put a cost of that doing with our labor and then go get some bids and compare it? I mean, is that what the plan is?
That would be the next step if we wanted to proceed in that way. It'd be you know, I mean, you can see it takes a little bit of writing to write down what you want, because if you miss it, then that's where it costs you more.
But what I'm really asking you is it gonna take you all your time for the next month to do that, or, you know?
Not all the time, but it probably would be it's something I could probably do in a month, just because I'm gonna attach the maintenance plan and attach things that have already been written that describe the system. And then, so I won't have, you know, some of this stuff, we've got, we could pull it out of an operations plan, and some of it's just boilerplate stuff.
From what you know right now, is this our highest priority for your time in the next month?
We don't have any people.
I know we don't have any.
It's a scary place to be, you know, and I don't think it's necessarily gonna get fixed by taking a big jump in salary, you know? I mean, it's a situation that I knew was gonna occur in the industry, and that's that there's a lot of people retiring out. And
Basically, you're saying that you really need to do this now.
No, you know what, Russ, I don't know what.
Basically, that's what you said.
I'm rarely stumped, man, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, there'd be a lot of work to put this together, put it out there, answer the questions, because contractors will call every day and want to know something different. So they want to tour the system, they want, you know, and in reality,
How many bids?
you know, I mean, and then we've got the issue of dealing with the employees that we have, too. Because we have, you know, 2 full-time employees that, do we keep any employees? Do we lay people off? You know, those are,
Transfer, go to the.
I didn't expect to get this done at this meeting, let's put it that way.
You know, if you look at this as a cost savings, because when we did this before, I believe just about everybody in this room might have been on the board, we were doing that kind of stuff. If you look at it as a cost saving, the only real cost savings is your medical and your long-term PERS and your PERS, right? But you can bet that the contractor adds that back in, they may get different benefits, and he makes a profit. So if you look at these as cost savings things, there really is not a cost savings in it. If you look at it as a supply of employee situation, where we're gonna get these people to come and do this stuff, the problem we ran into is they didn't wanna come here, you know. They were over on the coast, some of them, it was in Coalinga, one, the best one we found, I recall, And they said they're gonna, it's not worth it, not worth it, not, you know, to come over here and you're gonna put employees here, because they don't live here. That's where we run into trouble. But my idea is, we should start a class and let people learn how to be these operators, and get a bunch of people learning how to be operators, and flood the industry with operators or something, because you're saying they're leaving. It's a bigger problem than just hiring a contractor, you know? And there won't be any savings, because once you got them, then it'll go up, because then you're tied to them, ain't nothing you can do. And it's a big process to switch back over to be a public agency with public, you know, with employees, back to that again. So, it's really an operator problem, we need to figure that out. Maybe we need to just start classes and pay for people to get that Korean courses up in Sacramento or something, because it's an operator supply problem, mostly.
The